Hey guys, Chris here, back with another LeetCode problem. This is a series where I do LeetCode problems, and these are problems that I've never seen before. This is an easy problem called Backspace String Compare. So the problem is given two strings, S and T, return if they are equal when both are typed into empty text editors. Hash meaning a backspace character. Interesting. So essentially, this looks like a stack problem to me. So every time you see a hash, you will just want to get rid of the character before it, right? So one potential way to do this is to just get the result string for each item. So we add A to our stack, then we add B to our stack, and then we see a hash, so we get rid of the one before it, and then we add C to our stack. And then we do the same thing for T. So we essentially want to run the same algorithm on each of our strings and see if both of the strings are equal at the very end. And if they are, that's great. And if they aren't, then we return false. So let's go ahead and get started. So let's create a function that reduces these strings. So we're going to want to say something like const reduce string equals something where we pass in the string, and then we're going to want to return the reduced string. So let reduced string equals nothing, and then let's iterate through the string. So for let I equals 0, I is less than string.length, and go up by 1. Let me explain a little bit more about what exactly I'm doing. So basically at this point, I want to create an array. And this array is just going to push in each character, and then whenever I see the hash, I'm just going to remove the last character from the list. So the reduced string, we actually want to say reduce string array, and then we're going to make an empty array here. And at the very end, we're going to take this reduced string array, and then we're going to go ahead and join it together so it's just a normal string. So here we're going to want to say if string of I is equal to the backspace character, which in this case is just the hash symbol, then we're going to want to remove something from the stack. Remove from stack. And here we're just going to add to stack. Let's call this a stack, just to make it a little bit more clear what exactly it is. It's an array too, but it's easiest to think like the stack data structure since we're just going to be adding onto the end and then removing from the end, right? So add to stack. So what we're going to want to do is reduce string stack dot push string of I, and then here we're just going to want to say reduced string stack dot pop, and that should remove the last element from our stack, and then we just return it. So we're just going to, after all this, say return reduce string s equals reduce string t. Cool. So let's go ahead and think through this code for a second. So we're going to pass in each of the strings and see if they're equal after they get reduced. So we have our reduced string stack, which is here. We're going to iterate through all the letters in the string characters. If it's not equal to a hash, we're just going to push it in. And if it is equal to hash, then we're going to pop it out. And I guess if there's a backspace and there's nothing in the array, I'm not sure what it wants us to do. I'm guessing it just does nothing. So this is actually an interesting case. What happens if we have an empty array and then we hit backspace? We're going to try to pop it out, which if we call pop as on an empty array, I actually don't know what that does. So normally in this type of situation, I like to just open up a quick console over here and see how JavaScript interacts. So let's get a console real quick and just do this dot pop. Okay, let's let a equals something with one thing in it, which is just a. So we have a, we call a dot pop, which we expect to return a, and then a is an empty array, as we'd expect. And let's call a dot pop again, which is undefined, and a continues to be an empty array, as we'd expect. Cool. So that works as I expected, but I wasn't quite sure. So we don't actually need any specific case for this for the backspace. So let's go ahead and run our code and make sure that this works. So that case is true. Let's go ahead and copy and paste this test case, see if it works. So these should both end up being empty strings. Run code, true. Awesome, awesome. Here, backspace. Oh, this is interesting. The backspace is before here, right? So we have like the double backspace and then the backspace, backspace. So they both equal C at the end. True. And then this one is false. So we have A backspace C, and then we just have B. So C should not equal B. And it's false as expected. So let's quickly check for what happens if we have empty strings in both of these. Reduced string is nothing. This never gets hit. It just returns nothing. Or just an empty string. Looks good, looks good. Cool. So I believe this should work. Let's go ahead and submit. Nice. Worked. Quick, easy problem. Relatively straightforward. Nothing too complex here. Just some basic data structures we iterate through. So let's go ahead and think about the time complexity for a second. Time complexity. That would just be O of S plus T. And S meaning the length of S and T meaning the length of T, since we go through the string exactly once for each of them. Cool. So yeah, thanks for watching.